Hi, Gemini. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for November of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Hey, Gemini, this month's horoscope focuses on work and relationships. You might want a mission orders reading to cover the career focus or a lifelong love reading to cover the relationship focus. You'll find links for these in the text that comes with this video. Well, we are clear of Juno Retrograde. Thank goodness. This is the first piece of good news. I've got several pieces of good news for you. We made videos about Juno Retrograde in Pisces. You can find them in the playlists for July, September, and October on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. And if you do find those videos, I really recommend that you do that if you have had some kind of, big relationship thing that went on during July, August, mostly August, September, and October. It might have been really messy. It might have been really difficult. Your relationship might have emerged changed. And if you want to understand why and what's behind it, those videos should really be helpful. So I want to talk now about Ceres, which is traveling along through Virgo all month and was last month as well. Ceres is traveling your fourth house, which is the domain of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. So wherever Ceres is, it's really good and really important to become a good steward of that area, to take good care in that area and handle the physical aspect of that area. So Ceres traveling along through your fourth house, especially occupying Virgo the way that it does, suggests that this is a really good 2-month period, meaning October and November, for tidying and organizing around your home and getting things a little bit more shipshape and making your home more physically comfortable for you to be in. Maybe doing some things in your kitchen, like getting that mixer that you've been wanting, or buying that high-end chef's knife, or coming up with some menu plans for the whole family. This is a really good month for those kinds of things. So Jupiter is what I want to talk about now. Jupiter has been dancing back and forth between Pisces and Aries this year, had moved into Aries and now has retrograded back into Pisces, which is your 10th house of career, and is now bringing you an opportunity to harvest the last of your great relationship luck this year. And on November 23rd, when Jupiter goes direct, is a really great time to maybe make a move if you haven't done so already. Hey, Julia, I know you've got news about Mars retrograde. What's that stuff?
Oh my goodness, Gemini, I totally do, because Mars is going retrograde in your sign, Gemini. So Mars, I'll back up a bit and explain what's going on here. Mars is a planet that represents action and activity. And every planet, except for the sun and moon, has a retrograde cycle. We're usually more familiar with the Mercury retrograde cycles, which happen 3 times a year, but Mars goes retrograde about every 2 years. So it is pretty significant when it happens. So this Mars retrograde cycle is happening in your first house of self. So anytime a planet is in our first house, we tend to really embody that planet strongly. And Mars being in the first house can be a time of where you're just feeling very active, very energetic, and also maybe a bit more assertive and confrontational than you usually are. Now, since Mars is retrograde, meaning that it is, from our perspective on Earth, it seems to be appearing backwards in the sky. that might mean that you might have to take back some of your actions at some point, including some of your words, because those are ruled by Gemini. Now, with this particular cycle, my best advice would be is if you feel a little upset or angry about things, don't do anything active. Don't, if you're really upset about something, don't go for a drive. Or if you're really upset about something, don't, run into the kitchen and start preparing dinner with a knife or something like that. Just try to be cool and calm, because Mars retrograde in the first can be sometimes a little bit accident prone as well. So just tend to sort of take it easy. Maybe go for a nice walk instead of doing anything that might be too Mars related. And then I also want to mention Mercury, the planet that rules our mind. Wherever we have Mercury is where we tend to be preoccupied that month. And Mercury starts the month in your sixth house. So you got some sixth house activity for the first half of the month. And the sixth house, as a refresher, is the house that rules your workplace. It rules your habits and routines and sense of order, organization, as well as health. So with Mercury in the sixth house, this can be a time where you're socializing and connecting more with the people that you work with, like clients, coworkers, associates, bosses, etc. It's also a fabulous transit for getting more order and organization into your life, because Mercury loves being in this house as it's naturally ruled by Virgo. Now, November 8th is a very special day to keep track of, because Mercury will be exactly conjoined the sun, and we call that Greater Epiphany Day. It's a time of insights and revelations. So this is all happening in your sixth house. So around November 8th, you could be making some connections, getting some aha moments, some insights into your work life, which is ruled by the sixth, into maybe even getting organized in general, as well as health too, because that's also very much a sixth house, part of life. Then on November 17th, Mercury is going to enter your seventh house. It's going to be there for the rest of the month. The seventh house is a house that rules your romantic relationship, as well as contractors, anyone you might hire for advice. So with Mercury in the seventh, you might notice that you get your best ideas if you've got a partner. This is a wonderful transit for just finding another person to bounce your ideas off of, whether that is your romantic relationship, a business partner, platonic best friend. And it's a great time to hire a contractor, especially, if it's a doctor, if it's a lawyer, any type of consultant right now. It'll really help you put your strategies together, because that's a lot of what Mercury is about. Also, we have Venus that starts the month in your sixth house, and she's going to be kind of following, or actually Mercury is technically following her pretty closely, but they're both shifting from the sixth house to the seventh house mid-month at around the same time together. So Venus is the planet of luck, pleasure, relationships, beauty, harmony as well. And she starts the month in your sixth house with Mercury. And when Venus is in the sixth house, again, she brings a little bit of luck and pleasure wherever she goes. So you really might be enjoying the workplace a little bit more, especially, with both of these planets in there. It can be a more social time at the job. And Venus also might make it enjoyable and fun to do some more organization, get more order in your life. You may actually take some pleasure out of it. Sometimes organizing things can also make everything look prettier too. And that's what I sort of think about with these two planets together. And Venus in the sixth can be a nice transit for health, but you can also be a little bit more indulgent with your health too, like if you're on a diet, for example. Then on the 15th, Venus goes into your seventh house, and she's adding a little of her pleasure and luck to your romantic relationship. If you're not in a relationship, it's a great time to get out there and date, because, Venus is a very natural fit for the seventh house. And again, Venus in the seventh, if you've been having issues with your partner, not seeing eye to eye on things, Venus in the seventh is just a wonderful time to feel that harmony and that connection again, to fall in love with your partner a little bit more deeply too, which is a really wonderful thing.
Oh, yes. I love that. So I want to tell you about the moons of this month and the seasonal change. The first one is the full moon and lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is falling in your 12th house. This one we're calling physical freedom versus emotional entanglements, because this moon in Taurus is very interested in one's own structural integrity, if you will. owning oneself, and Uranus is there with that moon, really pulling for freedom and independence. And on the other side, we have the sun with Mercury and Venus, which are very social and very much about connecting, but also in Scorpio can be so much more emotionally entangled. So there's a bit of a push and pull to this one, and it is an eclipse. An eclipse is a moon that is so much heavier and more intense than other moons. And I like to think that it's a time when we're forced to look at our shadow. Most particularly, a lunar eclipse brings us face to face with our emotional shadow. And a full moon can be a time of high emotion anyway. So but because this moon is landing in your 12th house, it might stir up some unconscious emotions that you don't like to look at, that you'd really rather weren't there, and that you might like to prefer to cover really with words and cleverness. But this moon, is likely to have those emotions just kind of stir in the pot and then possibly erupt. So you might find yourself pulling away into solitude, so that can happen without disrupting your work life, because of all these planets over here in your 6th house. And I think that I would recommend that you pull away into solitude. I think that would actually be a pretty good response to this moon. On November 22nd, the sun leaves its sign of Scorpio and moves on into Sagittarius right here, starting a whole new season. This is a season of winter, gathering around the fire, community pulling together, helping each other through the dark and cold time of the year. So it has all of the warmth necessary to get through that season. And as the sun is moving through Sagittarius, it lands in your 7th house of relationship, of partnership. And wherever the sun goes, we want to bring the sunlight of our high quality attention to that area. And in the 7th house, that means bringing your attention to your partnerships, the places where you relate one-on-one with someone. And that can mean somebody that you're married to or somebody that you're in love with. It can also mean people that you consult with or colleagues that you work with. So while the sun is in this house for about 30 days, starting on November 22nd or 23rd, is a really good time for you to bring your high quality attention to those partnerships so that things can thrive and flourish there. Pay some attention to your partner. Good things will happen. On November 23rd, we have this new moon in Sagittarius, and let me just move this forward by an hour or two so that we can see that. Here's the moon in Sagittarius with the sun right here in the 7th house. And so this is a very partnership-oriented moon for you particularly. We're calling this one the wisdom of foolish hope, because there is so much joy and ease that comes right along with this moon. First of all, it's in Sagittarius to begin with, the bounciest of signs. Secondly, it trines Jupiter, and Jupiter is at home in the sign of Pisces traditionally. So Jupiter is very happy being in Pisces and sort of expands the aura of the Sagittarius moon and makes it feel also very gentle. So this is really a good moon for visualization, imagining, manifesting what you want. And I like to think that that trait of the Sagittarius archer is really at play here, which is to say, this is a great moon for overshooting deliberately, because if you aim for the moon, you're not going to hit it with your arrow, but your arrow can fly faster and farther than it might otherwise. So this is a really good moon for figuring out what it is that you really truly hope for and wish for, and focusing on that so that it may come to pass. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can find out more about this month's moons and Mars retrograde too on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the forecast tab. And on our website, you can book a reading with us or take a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.